Good morning everyone. Reproduction in plants. In this topic, we have been discussing about how plants will reproduce generations after generations, and we are discussing asexual mode of reproduction first. Now, in asexual mode of reproduction, we have already discussed about vegetative propagation. There are 4 modes of asexual reproduction given here. We have already discussed about different types of vegetative propagation. Then we have budding, another mode of asexual reproduction, then fragmentation and spore formation. These are the types of asexual reproduction which are included in your syllabus. So, after discussing about vegetative propagation, next we have to discuss in detail about budding. So, let us begin with budding. Now, budding is basically the process in which a bud is formed. Bud is actually a protruding part which grows outside the body of the parent. When it detaches from the body, it is having ability to grow into a complete individual. Most of the yeast, they grow by the method of budding. And how it happens, you will understand better with the help of this diagram. Here I have drawn a yeast cell which is having a nucleus. This is one of the yeast cell. Now what will happen, initially this nucleus which is present in the body of yeast, it will start dividing. When it will start dividing, automatically this will become a little elongated and there will be some part which will also come on one side which carries the cytoplasm. Now with the passage of time, slowly it will just divide and ultimately it will form 2 nuclei. And cytoplasm also will start dividing very clearly, and after few hours it will completely get detached from the parent body. Not detached actually, it will have a separate membrane drawn in between which will grow completely and will form a separate bud. Now when this bud will detach from the body of the parent yeast, then on getting suitable conditions, it will ultimately develop into a complete individual. Now here I have drawn just one bud, but sometimes they keep on growing the bud. Like one more bud can be there with its own nucleus in between. This is another bud. So these buds can form long chains and afterwards they can detach, or initially also when one bud is formed, it gets detached. Each bud is having ability to grow into complete individuals on getting suitable or favorable conditions. Yeast are actually having ability to grow into complete individuals because of these actually forming buds. Now, because of these buds, they can multiply very fast. Rather than within few hours, they can have increased population. You can understand this better with the help of an activity. And for that, what you have to do is, you have to take yeast powder, and it is available in the market. And then you have to put that yeast powder in lukewarm water in a glass and then add sugar in that. Because yeast grow well on sugar, this you already know, so they will start multiplying very fast when you keep it at a warm place for around an hour. Now on getting the warm and moist condition, the yeast will multiply very fast. It will keep on showing the budding process, and if you take a drop of that solution in which yeast is also there and put it on a slide and see under the microscope, you will be able to see how budding is actually happening in that particular yeast. I will show you yeast and then how it will be added in water, that I will show you, and with that it will be easy for you to understand. This is yeast. You can see this is written as yeast. It is available in the market. Lukewarm water and sugar. Now what I have to do is, I have to add this sugar. This is the actual yeast. I just want to show you what is yeast. These are the yeast granules. Now I will be adding this yeast into this lukewarm water. I will just mix it. Now we'll keep it for some time, around an hour. And then I will take a droplet from this and will put on the slide, and that can be seen later. It will appear like this under microscope. Hope it is clear to you now that how actually the yeast solution you have to prepare. Now that can only be seen under the microscope. Now with this we have understood the method of asexual reproduction, that is budding. Then next we will be discussing about the fragmentation method of asexual reproduction. And this is actually happening in case of algae like Spirogera is given in your book. So I will explain you how fragmentation actually occurs. You might have seen green colored patches covering the water bodies like ponds and ditches. Now what are these green colored patches? These are basically the algae which is Spirogera. Now Spirogera is having ability to multiply by the method of asexual mode of reproduction, and that is by fragmentation. It multiplies very fast and very fast it covers the whole area if a small part of it somehow enters the water body. Now what happens in this process basically? This is a Spirogera. A fragment of Spirogera, basically I can say this is just one Spirogera, and what happens with the passage of time when it matures or by some natural agent like there is some obstruction in its path or something has come to its path, so it may break. So if the mature Spirogera breaks somehow and will divide into fragments, it can divide into any number of fragments. I have drawn just two. Now when it divides into the fragments, each fragment has ability to grow into complete individual. Now this process in which an organism divides into fragments and each fragment attains the ability to grow into complete individual is termed as fragmentation. So Spirogera is basically having ability to multiply by fragmentation, and this is the reason it covers the whole area very fast with its green color patch. Now fragmentation leads to formation of new individuals, and then those new individuals further continue fragmentation and lead to formation of large number of individuals. So this is how basically the process of fragmentation takes place. In your chapter of NCERT, it is mentioned about Spirogera, but there are certain other species also which can multiply with the help of fragmentation. So this is about fragmentation, and next which is given in your book is about spore formation. In chapter 1 you have already read about fungus which is growing during rainy season suddenly because of the presence of spores. And from where these spores have come? These are every time present in atmosphere, and on getting suitable place or conditions, they start growing very fast and develop into complete individual. This is the reason somewhere when you notice there will be fungus growing on some articles during rainy season, because two main things which it requires is the warm condition as well as the condition of humidity. Now what happens basically, spores were present in the atmosphere every time, this we have already learned. But how these spores have come, that we'll be discussing now. Now one is yeast, they can reproduce by spore formation as well as by budding. But there are certain mosses and ferns which are also having ability to just multiply with the help of spore formation. What are these spores and how these spores are formed? Let us discuss. Here I have drawn a diagram in which you can see this is the hypha. Hypha are basically the thread-like structures or outgrowths which help in holding to that particular space. And then these are the sporangium. These circular structures are the sporangium. Inside the sporangium there are spores present. When this sporangium is mature enough, then it bursts and will release spores. Now where these spores will go? They will go in the atmosphere after bursting, and they remain there until they are not getting some suitable place or suitable conditions so that they can keep on multiplying. Each spore is covered with such a hard covering that they can remain inactive or dormant until they will not get some suitable place or suitable conditions. As soon as they will get all the suitable conditions, they will become active and start dividing into more. Now this is how basically these fungus multiply. But mosses and ferns, there are certain plants you can see in your book also. This is a fern which has white colored structures on the corner of its leaves, which are actually sporangium containing the spores. All the ferns will have such structures present in them. At the edge of the leaf, like if this is the leaf, there are spores present here. So these spores are also, after bursting, they just come out, remain in the atmosphere, and later on help in multiplication of these, and new individuals will grow because of these spores which are formed because of the bursting of sporangium. So, certain plants which are not having ability to produce seeds, they can easily be reproduced by asexual modes of reproduction. But there are certain other plants which are having ability to produce seeds, but still they show asexual mode of reproduction. It is not compulsory for all the plants to show one mode of reproduction. It is by nature only that which kind or which mode of reproduction is present in that particular plant which we are talking about. Now, in this topic, we have discussed about 4 modes of reproduction of asexual type in detail. We have read about vegetative propagation, we have read about budding, we have read about fragmentation as well as spore formation. Hope now topic is clear to you. What are the different types of asexual reproduction in plants? And in the next topic, we will be reading about sexual reproduction in plants in detail.